super lovely. Like, how do you get
So virtual reality is leaving the real world, immersing yourself into a digital world, and I guess there's different versions of it. In some versions you can interact with that digital world, and in other ones you're kind of a spectator able to look around in them. So some of the things that are commonly used with VR is visiting times and places that you're not able to go. So I can't go back to the dinosaurs. But in VR, guess what? I can do that. So that's time periods. Safety is a big thing. So we've had conversations with the Fire Service Institute and places like that where, I can go into a fire in virtual reality and I'm not going to get burnt. Where in real life I might get burnt. The other thing is really putting people into an immersive environment and trying to promote empathy. So being in the shoes of somebody that maybe is in a favela in Brazil, and so I get a real feeling. I can see how the people live. I can see the living quarters. I can see this.
There's a big distinction between virtual reality and augmented reality. So you hear those two terms interchanged a lot. Augmented reality is kind of a digital layer on top of the real world, and so there's all kinds of forms of that, whether it's on your phone or in something like the HoloLens. By contrast, virtual reality puts you in a completely immersive environment. So you're wearing a headset that blocks out the vision of the real world entirely and replaces it with a projected image coming through a couple screens in a headset. And so it is a much more immersive environment in the sense that it does completely remove you from your real world experience and put you in some sort of virtual land. As far as how we ended up building the VR lab, it was somewhat accidental at first. We were building more of a traditional prototyping space with 3D printing and those kinds of things. But the design center kind of showed up on the horizon on campus, and it was going to do that in a much bigger way than we were able to. So we kind of pivoted towards VR and ended up building the VR lab. It turned out to be a very good move because we've generated a lot of interest. We've got a lot of faculty coming through starting to think about how VR might apply to their particular discipline. And then we get a lot of students coming through and just trying it out for the first time.
So with VR right now, I know one of the biggest players in the field is the military. They're looking to utilize VR to help train their soldiers and put them in more realistic situations without actually having to put them in life-threatening situations. So it's interesting to see where that's going to go, because the military has been one of the industries that takes a product and will expedite its development because they're using it for the military.